It's your boy, yadiiiigg, 4 eyes, 2 G's. Before we get onto the video for today, guys, please make sure to follow your boy on all social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Also, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment what your thoughts are on today's topic. But onto the video. And the C word, classic, is something that is constantly thrown around in hip-hop discussions to separate the elite tier albums and the rest of them. And you ask this question about any hip-hop release, and stan wars, arguments, and Kendrick stans mentioned into Pimp a Butterfly are almost inevitable, and it's one of those discussions that I find particularly interesting. And today I'm going to be going through this classic discussion in relation to Drake's sophomore commercial album Take Care, which is one of the most polarizing modern hip-hop albums in regards to its classic status, and is constantly sparking up debate amongst fans whether it's worthy of such a title or not. And I don't want to waste too much time talking about this album, because you guys should have a general idea if you were watching this, so let's get right into it. And let's kick it off with the impact the album had on the career of Drake. And this category I mentioned because often classics represent some form of pivotal, magnum opus like moment in the artist's career. For example, Good Kid Mad City represents Kendrick busting out of the mainstream from the underground, and part of its argument for a classic is to do with it cementing Kendrick as a figurehead and as a staple of hip hop in the mainstream. And this is a huge point for Take Care. Although Drake with Thank Me Later certified himself as a legit mainstream star, Take Care represented the start of this iconic era of Drake running hip hop, one that is still going on today, and the length and magnitude of which is unprecedented. And his mainstream prevalence in this era was too colossal to ignore, selling over 600k first week and having 7 certified hits from Take Care alone. This legendary run all started with Take Care, and it's almost a crowning moment for Drake, and I think a point to consider for its classic status. And next we move on to whether the album will age well or not, and classics absolutely need to stand the test of time. Albums like Illmatic have gone on to become such pillars of hip hop, partly due to how well they have aged, and this is a testament to the merits of the album. And this is one of the main points of contention for Take Care. While for the most part I think the album has aged well and will continue to do so, there are a couple shaky tracks here and there. Songs like Make Me Proud are already starting to show their age just 6 years later, and will likely continue to worsen as it ages further. However, for the most part the sound of the album is less focused on trendiness and instead focused on Drake carving out his signature sound, and the moody, atmospheric aesthetic that mostly engulfed Take Care will likely continue to be relevant and pleasant to the ears, but there will always be those couple of tracks that will hold it back. And this then leads us to our next point of contention, which are filler tracks. And filler tracks are something that classic albums need to either eliminate or keep to a bare minimum, and that's pretty self-explanatory. And let's be real here, because I fucking hate when Drake stans say things like Take Care doesn't have any filler tracks, because it shouldn't even be a discussion. It does. Take Care, Make Me Proud, and Practice all do nothing for me personally, and there's a decent chance I'm skipping 2 if not 3 of them in the listen of this album. They are simply average and don't really do anything to progress the themes within the album as a whole, and there is no way to spin this as anything but a negative for Take Care. And the combination of the handful of tracks that won't age well and the filler tracks ultimately hinders a listening experience of the album and its case as a classic album. And next we are focusing on the lyrics and are moving on to the storyline or a fleshed out theme within the album. And classics often have to have some form of a fleshed out theme, storyline, or narrative, whether it be something like Good Kid Mad City, which is much more of a clear cut narrative, or something like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which is less of a happened then B happened then C happened, and more of a theme that is fleshed out through the music. And Take Care is definitely the latter. It really doesn't have a linear narrative, but more of a set of mini narratives that focus on his come up, the perils of fame, dealing with it, and how it affects everything from your family to relationships to the psyche of the person. And Take Care is Drake at his best in my opinion, and feels like his most concerned effort. It seems like he really sat on it and nurtured the album to take the listener on a journey into his mind state. It's widely considered Drake's best album for a reason. Its thematic development, its storytelling, and its songwriting represents Drake at his hungriest and his sharpest. And this is a positive for Take Care's classic case. And now we get to a crucial discussion, and that is influence. And this is on the influence of Take Care and the role of The Weeknd. Now, I'm gonna mention 3 facts firstly. Fact number 1, Weeknd's role in Take Care and his influence on the direction, particularly sonically, Drake decided to go in was important. But in the words of Drake, there are 20 tracks on that album, and according to him, he co-wrote on 2 and was featured on another 2. So let's let's not get carried away and chalk up the whole album to Abel. Fact number 2, not only can the current generation of these moody R&B hip-hop fusion artists such as Bryson Tiller be directly attributed to Weeknd and Party Next Door, but they also by and large would not exist and definitely wouldn't have such a platform for mainstream exposure and success without Take Care, as Take Care elevated this sound by subjecting the mainstream to this particular brand of hip-hop R&B blend, opening up their ears to allow artists like Bryson to have their attention. And fact number 3, like Take Care, 808s and Heartbreaks and the direction Kanye took was undeniably influenced by Kid Cudi. And I bring 808s up to make the point that people don't discredit and take away from the status of 808s as a classic because of Kid Cudi's necessary role in the creation of that album. So you can't have a double standard and do a disservice to Drake and simply disregard Take Care's classic status because of Abel's involvement. Secondly, and moving on to another aspect of Take Care's influence, Drake did give Abel this platform on Take Care to then go on and become this huge undeniable mainstream force he became. And I don't want to take away anything from Abel, and there is a possibility he could have become this star without this cosign, but it would have definitely taken longer, and there is a chance that it would just have never had happened at all without Drake exposing him. Thirdly, we get to Kendrick Lamar, and simply put, Drake did give Kendrick a huge look on Buried Alive and took him on the Club Paradise tour in 2012, both of which were huge platforms and looks for the still very much underground on the brink of crossing over artists that Kendrick was at the time. You need to remember, back in 2011, although Kendrick had Section 80 out, he was not popping like that. He hadn't signed to Interscope yet, he hadn't had a song on the Billboard Hot 100 yet, and he still was a ways away from the star he became with Good Kid, Mad City. Again, am I saying Drake made Kendrick? Absolutely not, but to sit there and deny that Drake gave Kendrick millions of ears and eyes that he never had before would be a blatant lie, and this played a small but still crucial part to Kendrick's meteoric rise from the underground to mainstream dominance. So, all in all, where does that leave Take Care's influence on the game today? I think the best way to sum it up is that Take Care is a necessary link into shaping what today's hip-hop scene looks like. Without Drake, and Take Care in particular, The Weeknd wouldn't have had such a platform to become this mega pop star. As such, it's a link in his story. Without Take Care, Kendrick wouldn't have had such a platform to burst out from the underground to the mainstream with Good Kid, Mad City. As such, it's a link in his story. And lastly, without Take Care, Weeknd's blend of R&B and hip-hop wouldn't be where it is today, and wouldn't have had such a platform to achieve mainstream success. As such, Take Care is a link in the development of modern hip-hop and its sound. And I feel like this is a good point to do a concluding paragraph from, and I wanted to make this video be more of an open discussion regarding Take Care's classic status than me arguing one way or another, so make sure to let me know what you guys think in the comments. But Take Care as an album and its classic status is such a loaded question. On one hand, it is widely looked at the greatest body of work Drake has given us, thanks to its stellar writing, atmospheric production, and its thematic development. And as we saw it kickstart an unprecedented dominance by Drake in mainstream hip-hop, the impact of the record is undeniable. However, when you begin to break down the album, you hit some hurdles. For one, a few of the tracks just haven't aged well at all, and are already beginning to show their age. And secondly, standing at 80 minutes, it's already a long listen, but when you bloat out the track list with multiple fillers, it takes away from the listening experience and the merit of the album. And these are often the biggest reasons for people not calling Take Care a classic, and quite understandably so. But that's where the influence of the album really lifts it up. It has undeniable links in the chains of both The Weeknd and Kendrick Lamar's rise to success, and necessary links in the development of this ever-growing hip-hop R&B fusion. As such, Take Care's role in evolving hip-hop today is one few albums boast, and shows just how impactful the album was. And ultimately, I think it comes down to what your idea of a classic album is, and what you prioritize. And in Take Care's case, I think it will continue to be a polarizing album, and will continue to spark debate amongst fans in regards to its classic status. But that's all from me today, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Make sure to let me know if you guys think Take Care is a classic or not. Also, please make sure to like, subscribe, and follow your boy on all social medias for more.